celebrating the power of possibility.
Hi, I'm Danita McCartney, and I believe anything is possible.
Danita McCartney is my guest on Anything is Possible. You are the newly minted CEO of Knox Area Rescue Ministries. We were talking in the dressing room. I met you at Cedar Springs Christian Bookstore.
That's where we met. I was thinking about that driving in well over 20 years ago, how we were doing in-store events, and it was just a lot of fun, but it brought back some memories as I was driving down Parkside this morning.
Look at what our lives have become.
Absolutely. I know, crazy.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm happy for you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me.
I'm happy for you. I watched your evolution through the organization, and driven by a deep desire to serve. Mm-hmm. There was an anointed humility to the way you approached the work.
Thank you.
And so congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got a story. As of this taping, we are just a couple of days away from, and I like the way you framed this. You said the anniversary of Ty, your son's heavenly birthday.
Right.
Your son passed away, and the reason I start here is because it really is the core of, here's what I learned. So I was studying screenwriting, and I was taking a screenwriting course, and the master teacher was trying to get us to understand that you have to understand a character's driving motivation. Why does he want to save the world? Why does she want to get back home? What's driving them? What's the thing that drives them to do what they do? That moves it from a job to purpose. Right? And you and I have talked about this notion of transforming pain into purpose.
Right.
So before we can have a conversation about purpose, just a difficult conversation about pain.
Right.
So who is Ty?
Oh. It's my boy. And so I describe him a lot as my boy. And so I have two children. My daughter was born first, and so Ty was my second child. And boys are special. And there's something about a mama's love and a mama's heart for a young boy. And he was just my pride and joy. And so I was a single mom for the good majority of Megan and Tyler's childhood, young adolescence. And so it was just, we had a special bond. And he was just full of joy, an amazing athlete. Some of my fondest memories are soccer, being on soccer fields. And I think that's when he was his happiest. He was just joyful and carefree and an amazing athlete. And so a lot of weekends, like a lot of parents who are married with their children's baseball or soccer, we did a lot of traveling. He was on a competitive soccer team and just a stellar athlete. And those are some of my fondest memories of him when he was happy, carefree, kicking side kicks, taking goal kicks. And I drive by soccer fields now. There's one that my husband and I pass every Sunday as we enter into church. And it's there at Pellissippi. And it's just a soccer field full of so many memories. And so he was just a great kid and got caught up. His drug addiction started when he was a senior in high school. So went to Farragut. He struggled in school. It didn't come easy to him. And that, I think, played a part in his addiction, the start of it. His soccer career came to an end. you saw some gravitation to some friends that weren't in that athletic arena that he was in. And so there was just this mild progression. And then it just became full-blown in about 2008. So his journey, our family's journey with his addiction lasted about 12 years. And so we had great seasons of sobriety sprinkled throughout his addiction. And he held down some great jobs. He was very talented. He loved the outdoors. He was an amazing landscaper, hardscaper. So he held down some great jobs in between those seasons of sobriety and addiction. And so throughout the journey, through his addiction, I was his biggest fan. I always was. I was his biggest supporter. I felt that as long as there was breath in him, there was hope. Addiction can be very hard on a family. It can split families. It can split husbands and wives. It splits siblings. It's hard. It's hard being the sibling of an addict, let alone being the mama. And so he was just so worth that constant love and support and hope that I fed into him. As trying as it was, as scary as it was, I made some colossal mistakes. It's just hard, especially early on. So he was a lover of the mountains.
What do you feel like the mistakes were that you made?
Early on, I was so raw. I didn't know what to do. I was just, you tuck them away. I was frantic. And you tuck them away at a 30-day rehab that they call you after 20 days and say, come get him, he's better. I'm like, no, so like knowing, I think I just made mistakes not knowing.
Right.
And you learn so much.
Do you get to call those mistakes?
That's a good question. Again, being a mom, I was hard on myself. I probably then thought they were mistakes. Knowing what I know now,
yeah,
no, it was just part of the process.
What was he addicted to?
Oxycontin. And so then it turned to heroin. And his death was heroin laced with fentanyl.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel.
He didn't intend to die. What happened?
He graduated a program in Athens, Tennessee on April 7th of 2021. Went up to his graduation. He looked so good. And he seemed different. And there was this confidence about him. And it was a lot of, hugs and, Mom, I'm done. And he would say, Ma, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. I'm tired of ripping and running. And there was something about turning 30 that really, it just resonated with him, that this is just no more. And I felt we had had a strong breakthrough, a significant breakthrough before he went into this program, where he was able to finally, after 10 years, admit some things to me. Just some of the shame that he had been carrying. And so I felt that he had really done the hard work this time. And he did. There was just this confidence about him. We were all so encouraged, and hugged him goodbye on that April 7th. He drove away back to Nashville. He and his girlfriend had reconciled, and he landed a great job. And we stayed in touch every day. We talked multiple times a day. And a week to the day that he graduated, I got the phone call the morning of April 14th from his girlfriend that she had found him in the living room, passed away. And you said something, you said he didn't want it. And I know in my heart of hearts that he did not intend to die that evening. You hear a lot of addicts will share, hey, just one last time. And I know that for a fact, Halloran. Talking with his death led to an investigation, and talking to the detective on his case. They're going through his phone and his text. They get to intimately involved in cases like this. And we were sitting in a room with a detective from Nashville. And he said, you know, looking through this, questioning things and wanting to clarify some phone numbers and acquaintances, and looking at this volume of text messages and transcripts from his phone, I said to the detective, is there anything in there that would just help my heart? Like, what was he thinking? And he said, you know, I can't tell you everything. He said, there'll come a day when you can know these things. He said, but for now, let me tell you this. Your son's final hour of his life was filled with nothing but the gospel. That's how I know. He was still so just struggling, and I think still so tormented. And he had been reaching out that last hour to his mentors from the recovery program, just asking for help and prayer. And he said, those young men who were replying back to your son were just peppering him with prayer and scripture. And I know Ty had the Lord in his heart. I know he did. He had an amazing baptism at one of his programs. And I hold on to those things. And I know that wasn't his intent. And so.
Where are you from originally?
California.
Really?
Yes.
How'd you get all the way over here?
So my daddy's career took us from California to Pennsylvania. He was with the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And so his job took him to Pennsylvania. So we moved from sunny California to snowy Pennsylvania, and then lived for a little bit in New Jersey before I made my way here. I was a single mom. My mom and dad had relocated here to Knoxville, and I wanted to be close to family. I wanted to have their support, and they wanted to be around their grandkids. And so I made my way here. It's been about 32 years that I've lived here.
Did you see yourself as the CEO?
No.
Of anything?
No, absolutely not. I didn't.
When did you know you'd been called to leadership?
Goodness. I feel it was probably a few years into my career at KARM. And so I started working at KARM in 2006. And instantly I knew this is where the Lord was putting me. Didn't really know when I went in for my interview. I was just like, okay. Thought I was in a job that I loved. And went in for the interview, and I was immediately captured by what KARM does. And little did I know that the Lord was preparing me for such a time as I would need KARM, and I would need that knowledge I was learning at KARM to help me with Ty. And so a really cool God story is weaved, my faith story weaves throughout my journey at KARM. I feel like probably 4 or 5 years into my journey at KARM, as I had the opportunity to do have a couple different roles. I think the first time getting to lead a team, maybe a design team for one of our new programs, I liked the dynamic and the synergy around team. And so I've just continued to hone those skills and learn from that to create a high-functioning team.
You know, I'm just so grateful that there's something inside of you that wants to, or that is available for that transformation from pain to purpose. Mm-hmm. Because you could spiral down into your own darkness if you don't have something to do with that pain.
Right. And don't let me portray that it's all great. I mean, I have ugly cries. I have ugly cries in church or in my car or at home.
You know, I say this to my friends. You know who scares me the most? Perfect people.
Right.
People who seem like they get it all together. Right. They never cry. They never crash. They never, collapse. No. Mm-mm. I know that we all kind of, but it's what I think is, this show is called Anything is Possible. And for those of you watching at home, what I hope we put on display is, in the moments of your greatest pain, there could be possibility.
Absolutely.
There's another side to it. But I wish I could. This is what I believe is a God thing. The desire to allow pain to turn into purpose. That desire, that framing, if you will, that to me is an ultimate grace. That to me, the energy, whatever that energy that allows your brain to think in those patterns, that is some kind of grace, because the darkness is real.
And we're called to be the light.
When you face major loss, when you face major tragedies in your life, the darkness is real. And it's almost like a black hole. The problem with black holes in the universe is the gravitational force of a black universe could literally collapse a universe. Imagine the weight of a black hole being so strong, so dark, that it would suck every star, every planet into it, collapse it so that it never exists, right?
Right.
And if any of you watching have ever been depressed in a dark space, in a dark place, and there's some little glint of light, there's something inside of you that says, this pain is for a purpose, or this pain will be transformed into my purpose, then you think of your work at KARM, it's more than just Knox Area Rescue Ministries. We have this many programs, we serve this many people, we've been around this long, we want to do X, Y, or Z. Now you go to work every day and it's a whole different ball game.
Sure. And Thursdays, you've driven down Broadway. You've been to KARM many times. Lately, it's dark. It's dark, and you drive, and I'll pull my car in, and I'll glance across the parking lot to see a young man, a young woman shooting needles into each other's necks or sitting there with a needle sticking out of their arm. Whew. I'm like, Lord, just give me the strength to get through today. Those are hard days. There's days when it's hard to walk through the door from what you see, especially losing a son to addiction. But and Cynthia Russell, Cynthia.
General Cynthia.
Oh, what an amazing friend of mine. And she said something too, I've heard her say it many times when she has spoken. We strive at KARM to create a place where we would be proud to have one of our family members walk through the door for service. And she'll say that. She strives to create a culture and an atmosphere at Serenity where if her sister, who struggled with addiction, were to walk through the door, we'd be proud and confident that they would receive good care. And that's part of what is propelling me at KARM too. Not only what we do to restore lives. I want to scream from the rooftops the valuable services and programs that are offered at rescue missions across the nation. Not only here in Knoxville, I want people to know the good work that goes on within the walls of rescue missions. I want people in Knoxville to know if you had a nephew who lived in Denver and you got the phone call that they were struggling, you could say with confidence, head to the Denver Rescue Mission. I know for a fact he'll be cared for. And that is so, and people don't know that. So it's a continuing education process that really drives me too. I want people to know the good work that happens at KARM and other rescue missions. And I want it to be a place where people we've had very successful people in Knoxville send their adult children to KARM for recovery. It happens. And that's a good thing. We have quality programs. That's one of the things that drives me. And the other thing that drives me too, especially with Ty's story, is playing just a small part. It's so many people on the front lines that are so entrenched doing the hard work day to day. knowing that you get to play a part in restoring men, restoring husbands back to their wives, restoring fathers back to their children, sons back to their families, it doesn't get any better than that. And we do that at Serenity really well. We've been restoring mothers, daughters, and sisters for over 30 years. I'm so excited about our plans for men's recovery, to create that place where husbands, fathers, and sons can be restored. A place that Tyler would be proud of, a place that I would want my son to be able to go to. And my son, and I know the value of rescue mission work. Some of the best care my son got through his addiction was at men's recovery programs embedded in rescue missions across the country.
Well, I think Ty is watching this interview and going, "Go, Mom!" And what a great place to land, and a great place to launch forward. And we wish you much success with men's recovery. But I wish you much success as you lead this organization, as you serve this organization, as you love the people that God has entrusted to you to serve, and as Ty, if you're up there listening, your legacy of helping and healing others is continuing through your mom and the work of KARM, and we thank God for that. Thank you for being on Anything Is Possible.
Thank you. Thanks.